Afternoon, everybody. Another wonderful day here in the shop. I did want to go ahead and post a little update today. I'm going to talk about the total cost of my PrintNC. I haven't posted in a couple of weeks, and there's some reasons why. You can see I am cutting. I do have everything operational, but I'm still in a pretty sad state of assembly here. You can see I still got some lovely masking tape holding wires together. Wires are strewn about. I've got a redneckified cable chain mount going on here with a piece of 2x4 and a wedge jabbing in the end of my X gantry. So not a whole lot to update as far as the build goes. I am still working on getting this all in a better state. I do plan, as I have from the beginning, to tear all this back down. I'm going to be painting all my steel. That's just some white primer on there for now. But today I'm going to cut a dust shoe for this. But I'm going to go ahead and go through the bill of materials and how I went about procuring all of these parts and some things that I would have done differently.
Okay, going to run through real quick on the PrintNC, my PrintNC bill of materials. And I'll go over at the end kind of how I ended up versus if I had ordered the kit from AliExpress. Let me go ahead right out of the chute and say, hit the easy button, order the kit from AliExpress, save yourself a lot of headaches. My first headache came whenever I found the ball screw. How I determined this, I wanted to cut at least 48 by 48 inches, which is a half sheet of plywood here in the US. So I found the ball screws on Amazon, 1605 by 1550. They were 51 bucks a piece. Total price, tax, shipping, etc., 165 bucks. One of the things that I didn't realize when I ordered these are 1605. I should have ordered 1610s or most likely 2010s, but these do work for that. Up next was the linear rails, again, ordered from Amazon. This was the 4 longer 1500 millimeter rails. Again, I needed 1450, which are not available because I ordered the wrong size ball screws. But anyway, I did make those work. I showed in some of my videos how I managed that extra 50 millimeters. Again, $222.54 total price. Up next were the stepper motor drivers. At the time when I started building this kit and ordering parts, the TB6600, I believe, were the standard kit stepper motor drivers. I went with the 556. I read somewhere that they were a little bit better, a little bit quieter, a little more reliable. $83.80 for 4 of them. Bought those off of eBay. The stepper motors, again, NEMA 23s. I got the 400 ounce inch. I went with 8 wires, 8 wire motors. One, because I think these were on clearance at 30 bucks a piece, $140 shipping and tax included. The 8 wires have 2 sets of coils for each motor that can be paralleled. That greatly reduces your input impedance and allows you to drive those at a faster step rate. By the time I ordered the NEMA 23s, I had already realized that I messed up on my ball screw and was thinking I may have to drive those too fast for a 4 wire. I can't say whether I did or didn't, but I haven't had any problems with the 8 wires. Up next is the Cisco power supply. Again, $48.98. That was tax, title, shipping, delivery, etc. This was used off of Amazon. The 2500 watt Cisco is the exact same form factor as the 1300 watt, but it does allow you to use 220 volt input. Because of that, I did have to have a special power cord, which was $12.82. Again, purchased from Amazon. Up next is the Z-axis ball screw, $43.84. That's for a 300 millimeter ball screw, and the BK and BF bearing blocks. You don't use the BK block on your Z-axis, however, so that's just extra parts. Sourced from eBay. Up next was the linear rail for the Z. I think those are 250 millimeter linear rails. I found it was cheaper to order a 1 meter section with the guide blocks and cut it in half. So that was $63 for both rails. I did figure out that my horizontal bandsaw will not cut the hardened linear rails. It just kind of bounced off of them. So I did have to cut that with an angle grinder with an abrasive cutoff wheel. Not a problem. You just have to be careful if you go that route and don't get it too hot. Up next was the cable chain. I ordered 3 pieces or 3 meters at $7 per meter. Total price $22.41. The only caveat I will say about this drag chain is it has a pretty small bend radius at 28 millimeters. I probably would have gone with a larger bend radius on that just to make it a little easier on my cabling. Next up is the breakout board. This is just the generic Chinese parallel breakout board. I thought for certain that I would have a parallel cable somewhere in one of my junk drawers. I ended up only having parallel printer cables, which are not what you need. So I did have to buy another parallel cable at $9.38. And for the spindle, I found a seller on one of the forums who was upgrading his 220 volt spindle to a 240 volt spindle. He gave me a good deal at $225 shipped. These were going for, I think, $350-ish at the time. That was in January. So I'm not sure what those are at now, but $225 I thought was a good price. Up next was the limit switch. Limit switches. I did not choose to go with the inductive limit switches. I prefer the simple mechanical switches, and I bought, these are Omron type knockoffs. These were the cheap ones, 69 cents a piece. I got a bag of 10 of them. These do have the little roller tip on the mechanical arm. So next up was the hardware. For the hardware, I was kind of winging it with the hardware, and I went on Grainger and just ordered a bunch of M5 and M6 bolts. Total price was $62.37, and I got 2 boxes full of stuff. A lot of this I did not need, or I ordered too much of it. I know that, for example, the M6 by 30, I ordered 100 of those. I don't think you need any of those. The M6 by 16s, you do need one caveat. These are the low profile button head, which I absolutely despise, and I ended up going and buying some different M6 bolts. There are 1 or 2 places where you do need the button heads, but I don't know that you need 100. So up next, I ordered some steel. I got this from Isco Metals, which is a local steel yard here in South Mississippi. Total for all of my steel was $220.42. I highly recommend, if you are going to do this, that you check with your local steel yards before you go to some of the online steel distributors, such as, I think, Metal Supermarket is one, Online Metals is another. There are a few others. They're handy in that you can get anything and you can get it cut specifically to a length. I think they're a whole lot more expensive. At least that was the case where I found. I got 3/16 inch 2x3 and 3x2 and 4x2, which I use for my X gantry. I ended up ordering 2 pieces of 2 20-foot sticks of the 3x2 and half of, or 10 feet of, the 4x2. They were nice enough to sell me a half stick. They just upcharged a little bit. So, yeah, they did do the cuts for me. They did 6 cuts for 65 inches, and they charged me $1 per cut, which is very reasonable. Same with the gantry. They cut my gantry at 66 inches. I did that for a couple of reasons. I do have the ability to cut steel at home. I have a horizontal bandsaw, works just fine. But transporting this, I do have a short bed truck that is a 6'4" I think, bed on it, or 5.5-foot bed. It's got a short bed on it, and these all fit perfectly within the bed of my truck and made my life much simpler. $220. It was a steal. Up next, I did buy just a whole collection of drill bits from Amazon. I bought a bunch of them because I was thinking I was going to go through a bunch of them. I did not. Other than trying to drill out a busted tap, which does not work, that was the only drill bit that had any problems, and I basically just ground the carbide off the end of it. The rest of these, I used one bit for all of the holes. The 4.2 millimeter, that's for tapping out the 5 millimeter holes. So well over 100 of those holes drilled, no problem. And I did not take it easy on any of these bits. So these were, at least for drilling steel, good drill bits. Don't know if I really should have included those in the kit, but I bought those specifically for this project. I did want steel motor mounting brackets. I bought those for $12.83. I did need to get some bolts for the motor mounts because they were a little bit different with my setup. So I ordered a box of, I think, 20 of those from Amazon, $7.69. Here's where I got some frame bolts. Like I said before, those button head, the M6 button head bolts drove me crazy. I cannot put those in without stripping out with the smaller hex drive. So I went to my local Fastenal and ordered a couple boxes of the M6 full hex drive socket cap screws. I've used those everywhere. I think there were 1 or 2 places I had to use the button head. That was $26. I did get a 10-foot section of tinned copper metal braid sleeving. This kind of looks like the old Chinese handcuff stuff that we had as kids. That's for the spindle cable. I have not installed that yet, but I do plan to cover my spindle cable, even though I use double shielded spindle cable. You can't have too much shielding when you're worried about EMI and RFI. For a computer, I did not have I did find in my junk drawer or my junk box an old computer, but it just wouldn't even come on. So I think the power supply was fried from sitting in storage for so many years. So I did order one, $42 off of eBay. This was a school system that replaced all theirs, and that meant that they took the hard disk drive out. So I went ahead and got a small solid state disk drive from eBay, $26 for that. I've used those a lot for old laptops that have a hard drive go bad. I'll spend the $20, put a hard drive in. For the monitor for that, I did find a local seller here on Facebook, $20 for a 22-inch monitor. The keyboard, mouse, assorted cables, etc. I went to a thrift store. I'm pretty sure it was under $10. I can't tell you exactly how much that costs, but it was relatively cheap. Most thrift stores you can find keyboards, cables for a couple bucks. The terminal blocks for all my power supply, I did get way more than I needed. I think I got 15 of the terminal blocks, and I think I used 4 of them. So a bunch of those, $18. The hookup wire, this was what I used for going between the breakout board and my drivers. Ordered a whole bunch of it, 300-foot total of assorted colors, 26 bucks. USB controller game pads. These are a Super Nintendo knockoff USB gamepad. That's what I'm using to jog my machine around. I bought 2 of them, 18 bucks. So 18.4 shielded cable. Bought that on eBay for 42 bucks for, I think, 100 foot. And that's what I'm using to actually go between the stepper drivers and the stepper motors. I did order a Z-Probe 1069 off of Amazon. That's for the tool changes. Have not set that up yet, but I do plan to. Spindle cable, again, ordered it off of eBay. 23 bucks for a 20-foot section. This was 16.4 double shielded stranded wire. I also ordered from Amazon. I ordered an RS 485 adapter. That is to control the spindle or the VFD from Linux CNC. I did get that set up. I'm not currently using that. I'm still manually turning on and off my spindle. That was for a 2-pack, so they're $3.11 a piece. I did order a ferrule tool, even though, and I did say in one of my videos that ferrules are not 100% necessary. I saw that and said, well, hey, let me give it a shot. I ordered them. They work fine. This was a best guess for the PLA filament. $47. I think I decided that I needed 2 spools, 2 1-kilogram spools should print everything. I probably did not use that much, but that's a best guesstimate of 2 spools for that. Actually, this next one shocked me. I paid $38.54 for the 3/4 inch MDF support board and waste board. And I still actually, to cut a full 48 by 48, I need another sheet of this. So I just couldn't stomach paying $120 for 3 sheets of MDF. So I'm managing now. I just have a 48 by 20, 48 by 31 cut area under my waste board. I will probably, when the lumber prices stabilize, I will probably go get another sheet of that. But I wasn't paying 40 bucks for a sheet. So grand total, how did I manage to build a $10,000 or more CNC for under $2K? So the total price of everything that I could go back and find receipts and think about doing was $1,834.28. There are probably a few small items that I didn't capture in this total cost, but I feel confident in saying for under $2,000 you can build a really nice CNC machine. 1834, that's real, no BS. That's how much it cost me. Like I said, there may be $100 worth of just nitnoid stuff that I didn't capture in here, but it's going to be few and far between. And hopefully I'll slide this over and you can see the grand total of all of my parts that would have been included had I ordered the AliExpress kit would have been $1,052.72. Now, I think the standard kit right now is running right at $1,000. I figure for my upgraded kit with the longer X and Y axis, I probably would have been looking at $1,200, $1,300, maybe $1,400 total. So I probably did save a few dollars, but I went through a lot of headaches and a lot of head scratching and a lot of work that quite honestly Mark has already done for us. I chose not to go with AliExpress. I have the absolute worst luck ordering from China. I ordered a set of linear rail plugs that go over your bolt holes. I ordered those, and it took 8 weeks and 2 shipments to actually get those to me. So that's just my luck and my own personal hang up. A lot of guys on the Discord channel have ordered their kits from AliExpress. My understanding is when you order the kit, they send it FedEx, and they have much fewer problems with that. So that's my build. That's my bill of material. Again, this bill of material I'm going to try to link down in the description. Please, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat bar or drop them in the comments below. I appreciate everybody following me through this process. Again, I can't say this enough. If you're going to build a PrintNC, go with the standard or go with the kit that you can order. Everything it'll come in 1 or 2 or maybe 3 boxes. Haven't heard of any huge issues with ordering or getting the wrong parts or getting not the same parts that you're supposed to get. I went through a lot of struggles to try to find all of my parts. Don't do what I did. Get the right parts, get them from the AliExpress store, and let Mark do all the hard work for you, which he has already done.
All right, so for the title of this video, I threw out some crazy numbers. I basically said, how to build a $10,000 plus dollar CNC for under $2,000. That may be a little far-fetched, but I really don't think so. When I started building this PrintNC CNC is right when they announced the X-Carve Pro. Now the X-Carve Pro is, I think it retails regular price around 10 grand. I designed this to be better than the X-Carve Pro, and I think I've got there now. The X-Carve Pro has a few things that this one doesn't have, and this one has a few things that the X-Carve Pro doesn't have. I'm not trying to say that this is equivalent in every way to the X-Carve Pro. Please, X-Carve Pro fanboys, don't beat me up over it. But I do think that this is the best value for cost of any DIY CNC. A little over $1,800. Now those numbers are 6-8 months old. Could be more or less if you build one today this same size and everything. But it's going to be pretty close. I think you're still going to be well under $2,500, and you have a machine that can cut aluminum. It's very accurate. It is very rigid. And I don't think you can compare this to any of those machines, even the pro-level, prosumer type, such as the X-Carve Pro. I'm sure that Shapeoko and a few of the others are going to be coming out with a prosumer edition. I still think this will beat those hands down. And for the cost of a regular belt-driven extruded aluminum machine, I think you're getting just worlds better quality in something like this. And I think the function is there, and I think it's hard to beat this for the price. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. That is my bill of material. I will try to put a link to the Google Sheets document down in the description if I can remember or figure out how to do that. Other than that, I'm cutting with this machine. You can see this is some stuff that I cut out for a door sign at work. It's working. It is rigged together. I got masking tape holding wires down. I've got hot glued on here. I'm going to get it right, maybe one day, but I'm going to tear it all down. I'm going to paint all my steel a nice pretty color.
I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to tighten everything up. None of the bolts on here at this point are torqued down to anything, any kind of specification. So there is a wee bit of slop in that Z, just because, I mean, my linear rails aren't torqued down. My gantry's not cranked down to my rollers. A lot of work still to do on this, and I am tickled with the capabilities of this thing so far. I've cut 2 or 3 little small projects. I cut a 2x4, 2 foot by 4 foot piece of 1/4 inch MDF for a friend of mine at work who wanted to make some door hangers out of those, you know, paint them and whatnot. And I did that, no problem, no missteps, nothing. So I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better value for your money than the PrintNC. If you're thinking about building it, I urge you, take a look at some of my build videos, project by Brian. There's a few other guys who are putting build videos out there. Go ahead and do it. It's really not a difficult project. So I'll get this video buttoned up and hopefully edited tonight, uploaded sometime this week whenever I can go to town and get an internet connection. And promise you, before long, I will talk about the Linux CNC install and the electronics. So for that, I'll leave you with that. So there you go. Have a good one.